Welcome, Lawrence. How are you today?
Hi, Kam. I'm great. Good to see you again.
Definitely. And obviously this is our podcast number 2 on the tool that we started working, FormulaShare. And at this stage, we know what FormulaShare is. We learned about the basic, we learned about the journey, we know your background. That's what we previously covered. And today, um, moving forward from the roles and sharing rules, etc., what they were, we as a Salesforce consultants or admin or business analyst, we know what was the capacity of the roles, sharing roles, visibility, and all everything people work on it. But we're going to see the FormulaShare real world examples with yourself today, where you will give us the walkthrough about the scenarios. And I believe we're going to cover 2 to 3 use cases, correct?
I hope so. Yeah, yeah, looking forward to getting started. And
All
yeah, we've got a
right.
couple of interesting use cases to talk about.
I leave it with you. How you want to play? You want to straight on your presentation, start kick off, or you want to set some expectations, what people are expecting, then we can jump via the presentation and then your the sandbox basically.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I think we can just dive right in. Just with a little bit of a kind of an overview of why we built FormulaShare and what we think it really kind of contributes to an org that has complexity in sharing and has challenges around sharing. So I know we covered the basics last time, so I'll go over these quite quickly. It's probably familiar with some of your listeners from last time. But I really wanted to just reflect a little bit on, kind of when and why does Salesforce sharing get really difficult? What sort of business challenges are there, and what are the limitations in the platform that we really try to try to help organizations get beyond. So some of the things that are generally really difficult about sharing in Salesforce, so the sorts of requirements we see quite a lot, is the need to share sort of a group of records, perhaps records from an object or a set of objects, with users or roles or groups or something that align to some sort of kind of regional or structural split within the organization. So that might be a kind of different countries, could be different regions
Always.
within countries.
It's
Yeah, and
always challenging, always
it's
challenging.
yeah. So I'm sure you're well aware. Yeah, sort of global orgs kind of run into this sort of challenge all the time, and there are ways of doing things within the platform to work around scenarios like this, but there are there's sort of quite significant limitations. So in the case of these sort of country hierarchies, what you tend to find is when objects are related just through lookups rather than sort of strict master detail kind of structures. You're sort of what you're tending to want to do is to share based on a relationship that a record has with some other record in the data model, so cross-object relationship, and it's just simply not supported with native sharing to internal users in Salesforce.
Yeah, you can go more advanced level basically with the FormulaShare.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll jump into an example in a moment. But yeah, that's probably, I'd say, the biggest thing that we see is those sorts of challenges. Other sorts of examples or other kind of scenarios that come up a lot for us, being able to share with users who are kind of related through again kind of a relational thing, that there are kind of a group of users that should have access based on sort of their association to a related record, to a record that needs to be shared with them. So something like in a recruitment system, for example, you might have users who are involved as hiring managers for particular applications, and they're associated to those applications, and the application should be shared with them. that yeah, those sorts of things are they're not well catered to with the standard platform. And sort of conditional logic. So you do have criteria-based sharing rules in Salesforce, and they're handy for some circumstances, but there are they kind of only really get you so far, and particularly where you are where there is a need to sort of have these sort of hierarchical access or access based on based on cross objects. There's there's no ability to use formula fields in criteria-based sharing rules, for example. So you kind of quite quickly run up against issues around any sort of complexity in the logic. So where you want to perhaps share only when other fields on the record are true or false or so on.
Right.
And then the final thing is I mean we help a lot of organizations who are basically at the limit with what they can do, either with kind of a lot of sort of on-platform options, or perhaps they've gone with an Apex approach, but it's kind of just got out of hand, and it's become tricky to maintain and to extend. Maybe there's one or two people who kind of understand it, but it's difficult for an organization to to maintain it sort of in the long term fundamentally. So we try to
question here. So when we say avoid apex sharing, I love this one all the time. So in a very layman language, if I say, so FormulaShare app has ability to avoid apex sharing because with formula capabilities we can manage those complex sharing rules via the tool, basically. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So our sort of ethos is so. I mean, total transparency. We are effectively applying apex sharing on your behalf in the org. So that's how FormulaShare works.
Right.
So what we do is sort of we abstract away the mechanics of how that works and sort of surface the ability to address up to some really quite sort of niche and complex use cases that would normally need apex sharing, but we basically surface the same sort of capability in a configurable rule interface. So yeah, we our aim basically is to cover any of the use cases that come up that historically would have needed apex sharing, and I think we're nearly there. It's very, very rare nowadays that I come across
it's definitely so, which means we're not looking to hire any extra developers or resources to manage these complex. So admin or technical business analysts, kind of, if they want to manage these expectations, can easily manage, because the tool has UI interface to manage these things and work with the tool to make it happen.
Couldn't have put it better myself. Yeah, that's exactly our aim.
That's brilliant. Okay, that's good.
Okay, so I just wanted to touch a little bit on the sort of the levels of complexity we tend to see in different sorts of orgs in relation to sharing, and what we try to do to really kind of help, as you described it, kind of help the help admins and BAs and even business users to sort of to own that configuration and be able to extend that configuration themselves. So sort of often often in an org's kind of journey, so a lot of kind of greenfield implementations or sort of newer orgs, they that's often when you see sharing in its best state. It's sort of been thought about as a holistic thing. The people who've been involved in the implementation, if it's been done well, have typically kind of planned out how to use native features to the to encapsulate the sharing logic that should be applied in the org. So we sort of see that we kind of describe this as well. It's a sort of and this might be different per object, but it's basically a mixture of sort of straightforward, simple approach to sharing. So maybe applying all guide defaults and using view all and modify all where that's appropriate. And where there is conditional sharing required, that's been built into sharing rules, so either criteria-based or ownership-based sharing rules, usually in combination with a system of public groups, perhaps, or queues or roles. So that's kind of a great place to be, because at that point you've got the whole logic of your sharing model is defined in a way that it's easily readable, it's auditable. It's kind of clear to a Salesforce admin who understands how these things hang together, and it's kind of everything's in the place you'd expect it to be.
That's great.
And then the sort of the creep that kind of often happens sort of over a long period of time, with you kind of get a new requirement come in and it doesn't quite fit into your the structure that's been put in place around that object, or there is maybe there's one or two use cases that don't quite fit with everything else. So you start to look at ways that you can kind of bend what's in Salesforce to cater to some of those more tricky use cases. So there are sort of a number of different ways of kind of tricks that have been around for a long time to sort of use sharing rules in combination with automation to cater to some slightly more complex use cases, and that kind of works. But you're starting to get to a position where you've got the logic around sharing it's a mix, basically. There's some of it's in rules, some of it's in flows and triggers, perhaps there's maybe batch jobs. You're starting to kind of get more moving parts, and it's more difficult to really sort of infer what there is. Kind of what's in the org and how does it work.
Perfect.
And so at that point, it starts to also be, well, actually, it's now kind of getting to the point where you need people who are a bit more sort of involved in the nuts and bolts of the org to really understand the full picture of how this works.
More responsibility towards the architecture level, because the requirements, the complexity have been changed. So we are at completely that level now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And then sort of continuing that journey, there was workarounds can get you so far, but there are certain requirements, and we'll look at some of these in a moment. But there's certain requirements that are just so challenging to do. It's not even really practical to do that without either a framework of some sort that applies to multiple objects, or kind of a proliferation really of Apex sharing, so kind of triggered Apex sharing, perhaps batch Apex sharing as well. And you then kind of really getting to a point where you've got this quite kind of complex system that's a mixture of configuration and code. It's difficult to extend, it's difficult to understand. You're generally going to need developers involved. And things start to become hard quite quickly.
There we go, my favorite one.
Everyone's least favorite place to be. Of course, the natural conclusion of people just start to get worried to change things, or there are you actually change really becomes quite a risk, and so there's you either kind of develop an aversion to change, or you kind of accept that risk and things go wrong from time to time. Not a great place to be.
So just hold off here. So basically this architecture journey is telling how the complexity increased, the demand, when the demand increased by the business, or the requirement changes, right? So we are in a very simple sharing. Then obviously we have the business logics comes. Then obviously the more logics means we're thinking about the workaround and how the team is getting involved from the one admin to the senior admin to the functional, because we need to understand. And then we involve the architecture, technical architect. Then obviously with technical debt, we need more analysis, more smarter, and to see the differences before we do any kind of inputs in the sharing rule. So that's what the architect journey we're talking about, like how then later on FormulaShare can help from here. Correct?
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly that.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And as you described, you're increasingly needing specialists to get
Yeah.
involved. You're looking at larger scale changes and more planning needed when changes are necessary. Um,
Perfect.
so yeah, our kind of ethos really is giving you the tools that you need to sort of to stay within these first two boxes as much as possible. So provide a configuration interface to define potentially some quite sort of involved rules, but do that in a way that feels straightforward to set up,
Mhm.
and scales well with data volumes and yeah, kind of large complex systems of objects.
That's great.
Okay, so yeah, that's the theory. But what I thought would be interesting is to kind of jump into two or three use cases that really sort of help illustrate some of the ways that that our customers use FormulaShare today, and some of the challenges that where the app kind of really does come into its own. So we're going to look at this through the lens of a business, Pass the Parcel. So they are Pass the Parcel are they're an international business. They work with sort of partners worldwide, and their kind of business is connecting retailers with delivery centres to facilitate deliveries on things like online shops and retailers and so on. So they have a network of kind of retailer partners that they work with. Those are represented as accounts in the system, and then also partnerships with distribution centres as well.
Yeah.
And
What?
yeah. Oh, sorry, Kam.
Yeah. Sorry. So this is about a company who does the parcel deliveries, right? And obviously we are setting the expectations. What normally, whenever you do any project work, there is some business model we need to understand for anything. So this is for the viewers, who before we jump into the use cases, we are setting the expectations. So the Pass the Parcel have the high street store, online shop, market, and regional retailers. Then obviously they have a distribution centers from there. So kind of setting the expectation what's coming, and that's how you're going to explain how the use case is going to react based on this requirement. Correct?
Exactly correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking at the org that Pass the Parcel own, that all of these things are represented within, and we'll talk about how the sharing and the visibility needs to differ for different sorts of records within that org.
Right. Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's jump in. So yeah, one of the challenges that we've got is that whilst Pass the Parcel has a relationship with all of these entities, they also have relationships with each other. So that's one of the challenges that we'll be modeling in a moment. All right, so first challenge, and this is really sort of goes back to that very first box that we'd spoken about, which around sort of regional or country-based sharing. Sort of how do you in a sort of straightforward and scalable way, how do you share a system of related records with entities that are that relate to those records? So here we'll jump into an org to see this data model in a moment, but we've got the account records, of course, related to an opportunity, and below an opportunity, we also have a custom object for billing information. Now the account in this example, we have the account actually has a corresponding country that is identified in a custom metadata record. In this this org's example, could be a custom object, but yeah, I'm going to show in this example how we can do this with a custom metadata record. But essentially, that's so that's a sort of a reference object that has a series of fields that indicate all of the important roles, and they could be groups or users or other things mentioned or sort of linked from that record. And what we're going to want to do is to share to the relevant objects with the relevant roles or groups from that country. So yeah, we see, I mean, this is a reasonably specific use case, obviously, but we see variations of this kind of thing all over the place. So yeah, as I mentioned, that country could be a custom object rather than a custom metadata type. It could even just be a set of fields on the account. Maybe you just have 3 or 4 or even one field that that represents the public group or the roles that are associated with that country. But yeah, ultimately the idea is we want to be able to share things that relate to the concept of that country.
Yeah, so the persona is going to be for the finance manager who sits at the top at the country level and going to look at only the country voice records, correct?
So I'm going to jump straight into my org where we've got FormulaShare set up with that data model. So I'll jump onto an account record. So we can see here, this is an example of a distributor account, and it's associated with country UK. Now I've got one FormulaShare rule set up here already. That is the job of this rule is to share the account with the head of sales for that country. And I'll just to complete the picture, I'll just show also the custom metadata record that represents that country. So you'll see here we've got a country mapping custom metadata type. This is just this is just sort of part of the org's configuration, and it's used to hold the country names and the roles within those. So we could use France as an example, and so we'll set up a new account in a moment and just show how those roles get applied. So if so I've got at the moment a head of sales FormulaShare rule. I'll set up the country finance one in a moment as well. These will work in a very similar way. So yeah, there's a specification of sort of which object do we want to share, what's the relationship that we want to kind of utilize to apply that sharing. In this case, share the based on the country mapping that relates by the relationship with the country name field on the account. And we're going to share with the country head of sales role that is indicated on that country record. So so in this case, this rule is using this field, France. Country head of sales.
So this is for the France, yeah.
So that's the one for France. This is showing just an example of some of the data that's in the org at the moment. So if I'll set up the new rule first. That's the head of sales one. So I'll set up something very similar for the country finance manager. So yeah, as I said, you just so sort of click to say which object you want to share, and FormulaShare will let us kind of navigate through and specify which relationship does it have with a custom metadata type. Now I know that it matches we want to match the developer name of the custom metadata type with the country name that's on the account record. So I'll configure
Right.
that. We're going to share with the roles, and we'll share with the role that's in the country finance manager role name field on the country mapping. Now, one of the things that I mean, it's a very straightforward thing, but it's one of the things that makes FormulaShare quite special versus native sharing rules is that our sharing rules are dynamic. So whereas with criteria-based sharing in Salesforce, you basically end up needing, so if you think here we've got, I don't know how many, maybe 30 or 40 or so countries. If we were doing something similar to this with criteria-based sharing, we'd need 30 or 40 criteria-based sharing rules per role that we're sharing with. So that might be 80 sharing rules to share with the finance managers and the heads of sales. In FormulaShare, because we do things dynamically, we sort of say, well, it's based on whatever is in the value of this field in your data model. We can compress down those very large numbers of rules just into a small number of dynamic rules. So in our case, two dynamic FormulaShare rules are enough to replicate what you'd otherwise need, kind of 80 or so criteria-based sharing rules for.
Right. Okay.
So we'll set up the account and related object access.
Question here. Metadata, I can see you have country mapping, number of countries listed. We have the finance manager name. We map the account with the top level with the country mapping. So now, if I say finance manager UK, finance manager in France, finance manager in Italy. So during the creation of a record, where am I defining those countries? Account level or user level?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the in this sort of rule example,
run the scenario basically,
yeah. I'll go and create a new account, and we'll just show how that. So perhaps this is our Paris delivery office. Country name. In this case, I'm just defining it as a text field. It could be a really more likely to be a pickless field, but yeah, both work. So we're defining at the account level. We're saying which country is it for. Okay. That country name field is what's mapped to the custom metadata, which has all of the information about which roles apply for that country. So in this example, hopefully, if everything's worked okay, let's see.
I'm sure.
There we go. Thank you, demo gods. It's worked today. So yeah, as you can see, it's applied the sharing for those France roles based on the rules that are configured here in FormulaShare.
And you can see this screen because you are a admin. So which end user won't see this, or will they?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, that's right. I can. So this is the standard sharing button, but it's only available to if you've got full access to the object, or if you're the owner of the object. So most users wouldn't see that view, but it's kind of a quick and easy way to see who's been granted access. But yeah, the effect of this would be anyone within those roles will have access to these records.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, so that was an example of how we can set up a rule to share account. I'll just show very quickly how we can do something similar with, similar with a related object. So here, this is my billing information object. I can do what I'm able to do is sort of traverse my way through the object relationships that this object has up to the object where I know the sharing is controlled from. And from there, select the mapping custom metadata type. Say, okay, so in this case, I can say I want to share the billing information in much the same way, basically, that it should be shared with the roles from the country mapping record, where there are links sort of via an opportunity and an account. So yeah, I won't go and set all of this up, but the principle's very similar here. So what we can kind of what typically you might have is maybe you've got 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 custom objects or standard objects that have some relationship with the country. And this allows us to express what that relationship is and for those rules to be applied, and yeah, to automatically infer the correct people to share to, based on those relationships.
Then obviously, because opportunity is a child from the account, it will pick up the country from there and analyze automatically the record, correct?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So I kind of glossed over it, but there's within an account rule we have special settings to say, yeah, do we want to share the opportunities in that way as well? So that's one way of providing that access for opportunities.
Brilliant. Okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also, as with this rule, there's also the option, obviously, to set up rules against an opportunity too. So you could have that can be helpful because you might have conditions. So you might want to share some opportunities. Maybe only the maybe you want to sort of only share the current opportunities and not the historic ones, something like that. So that sort of thing is possible with adding conditions and having specific rules on opportunities.
That's good. Okay, that's the first one is, yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that's sort of, and that really kind of encapsulates the principles of. I mean, we've got a lot of variations in how different sorts of rules can get configured, but that sort of really illustrates the fundamentals of FormulaShare. It's about being able to express and express what the relationship is between the shared object and whatever object it is that needs to determine sharing, in a configurable and straightforward way.
Yeah, but I think people do need to understand the generic sharing model within Salesforce, and that I can see it's now very simple in FormulaShare, basically doing that way. But you do need to understand the basic knowledge of how the sharing rules, the security, how it works, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose just to reflect a bit on that, I mean, if to do, I mean, this is like in the scheme of things, this is a pretty simple requirement. To do this sort of thing without FormulaShare. So typically, what we do see a lot of is that organizations will have put in, well, either they've got an Apex framework that's doing something like this, but it's kind of buried away in code, or they've got maybe sort of flows that run against the billing information object that will stamp the billing information object with the role names from the country, and then they have sharing rules for each of those countries that will share with those roles. So I mean, it's like it works, but it's such a pain. I mean, you've got all these sort of edge cases around. Well, for a start, you've got maybe sort of 100 or more sharing rules on your
definitely
each object.
It's never stops kind of things, basically.
It never stops.
Yeah.
No. And you've got situations like, well, okay, well, you've stamped the value onto billing information, but then what if the opportunity, you realize actually it should have related to a different account, so that relationship there from the opportunity to the accounts changed, or the country on the accounts changed, or then it's like, well, how do you cascade that down to all of the related records? There could, in some instances, be thousands or hundreds of thousands of those, and it gets complicated really quickly.
Definitely. So, I completely agree with you. It's not straightforward then or after that. Yeah.
So we sort of have yeah, we won't go into all the details, but we have various different ways of using platform features to keep things in sync, basically, without it being a big customization overhead to do that.
Yeah. And is it very similar way for the many to many as well?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, this is another thing we kind of come across quite a lot that again is not sort of handled particularly well with native sharing options. So in this example, we imagine we've got distributors, and as I mentioned earlier, we've got distributors with relationships to particular retailers that they work with. And in this example, we want to make sure that the pass the parcel relationship manager who's working with a distributor also has access to all of the retailers that they work with and the related records for those retailers. So the way this is modeled in our org is through an account affiliation custom object, which has a lookup to the distributor and a lookup to the retailer. So yeah, that's sort of where the many to many relationship is here, and what we can do is sort of leverage that relationship to share those accounts in that way. So again, I'll just run through. Let's run through how we set that up. So in this example, we're going to want to share the account object again, but we want to determine the relationship that controls the sharing, we want to go through a child of the account, and it's the account affiliation because we're wanting to share the client accounts, and so that's the retailer accounts. We go via the account affiliation and select the distributor account, which so that distributor account, that's where we have the indication of the relationship manager who should get access to the client accounts. Now in this case, our relationship manager is that's a user in the org, so you can select from the user fields, and this one is a lookup field. So account relationship manager, you can see from example here, we've got account relationship manager lookup populated on an account record. So that's what we're using to say we want to share to that that user. So I set my account sharing fields.
Okay, got it. Assigning the distributors from there so that account managers are aware what records basically coming there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so those so those relationship managers are able to access all of the retailers, all the clients that are associated with the account. So if I look, this is an example of a distributor here. As I mentioned, we've got the account relationship manager there, and we've got a few clients that they're related to here. We'll add in a new one, and what we're looking for is to check that the new client account is in fact shared with Ahmed Mohammed, who's the relationship manager for this distributor. So I'll add in a new account relationship here. Click save. I'll jump to that new client, and hopefully what we'll see is Ahmed Mohammed. Yep, there we go. He's there as indicated as having that specific access.
Right. Full automatic working. And you can see same time what kind of relationships they have it per record, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So and that
so
that oh sorry.
Does that mean if let's say the manager or a head of stakeholder maybe to the business, if they want to verify how the ownership have been assigned, can they have like, I'm not saying full access, if they have read-only access with the sharing and they want to verify those things, they can verify if we educate the people, correct?
Yeah, that's a good point. So there's probably a couple of things worth mentioning around that. I've obviously been using this sharing button because it's convenient. It's sort of
Yeah,
it's there
yeah,
against
yeah,
the
yeah,
records.
yeah.
We also have there's a full set of logs that are captured.
Okay,
So
kind of a dashboard basically.
yeah,
Right,
exactly.
okay,
So
yeah, right, yeah.
every sharing operation is logged, and what you can um, and so this will show what record is that related to, and what sharing was applied
Right.
for that operation. So what some of our customers do is they'll configure these log records to relate to the object itself. So we could have against the account. I don't know if that's set up in the demo, but um, excuse me, what we can surface at the account level is a full sort of history of effectively this level of detail. So all of the access that's been granted or removed by FormulaShare for this record. Oh,
You're mute.
excuse me.
That's okay, no worries. Have some water, have some water.
Sorry,
Take it easy. It's okay.
I'll be a minute.
Okay, no, that sounds yeah, it sounds very easy and straightforward to see things in the action, how a product can make each other's life easy basically. As an admin skill, obviously not everyone is sharing expert, but if you learn the tool, it can make you really comfortable, and you can become a freelancer of expert of FormulaShare basically. Yeah, I know FormulaShare.
Yeah, and
I can work with many companies basically just to implement the FormulaShare for their businesses basically, and
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. We have partners that do exactly that. Yeah, consultants
yeah.
that have got to know it well and have implemented it for a few orgs, and yeah.
Just last question on, the list view you showed, all the list views about the FormulaShare. Is that the only place we can get, or is there any other way of dash? Because I'm first time looking at the FormulaShare app as well. Is there a dashboard way where you can see as a new tech lead join the business, or a new senior admin they join the business, and they would like to see how many sharing rules have been implemented? Is there a way we can check, or that is the place where you showed me in a list view? We can see all of them.
Yeah, it's a great question. We do have, as well as so the yeah, what I showed was it was more of a sort of technical logging and detail level.
Yeah.
But we also I just jump into the app for FormulaShare.
Okay.
Um, we'd also have um, a dashboard that's it's probably not going to be
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
pro
Yeah.
I'm in
No, we
a
can we can we can read
quite a
through
new
the
org, so
titles. Yeah,
um,
because it's always best to the out of the box functionalities. Yeah. Right. So we
yeah.
have the total records shared, obviously. Sharing applied by the batch jobs. So rule deploy last pull. Nice. Okay. So pretty much, and obviously
The,
people can create their own as well. Am I right? The components.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the app comes with a few sort of built-in reports that yeah, that you can use to really to keep an eye on, are things getting applied? Are they getting applied in at roughly the scale that you expect to? Sort of how many errors are you getting versus successes? Those sorts of things. But yeah, it's all extensible, and yeah, we have customers that are building their own reports and their own dashboards over our objects, and that works too. But yeah, we try to kind of give a general overview of kind of the picture of what FormulaShare is doing in our dashboard that comes out of the box.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. It sounds very good, actually. I love the product.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah. I mean, we just it's such a great ecosystem to be part of, and I mean, we've come across so many interesting orgs doing like all sorts of like fun and kind of crazy things with sharing, and it's
No, no,
there's
this is worth
all
a
sorts
shot
of
because, yeah, and same time, a lot of people are asking me basically regarding the jobs and stuff on a Salesforce. And I was saying, guys, Salesforce learning is one thing, but we have so many ISVs, we have so many apps where you can learn on the fly and get the jobs in. And like FormulaShare is one of the best app within Salesforce, which if you learn you can become a master and obviously start working on a product basis. It's actually a very good achievement. But no, thank you so much, Lawrence. I appreciate it, and I'm sure this will be helpful for many people learning this product. Yeah.
pleasure. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, Cam. It's been I've really enjoyed the chance to talk and to show and to yeah
Yeah.
to,
So looking forward to the next one.
great. Me too.